Hi, I'm Philip, and these are some of the lessons I've learned learning to sing. Let me start with a piece of advice. If you're at a karaoke party and you don't want to sing, don't agree to sing if Tom will sing because you believe Tom is not going to sing. Well, as you can imagine, I was set up and sang in front of people for the first time since I was 17 years old. And it was a life-changing experience. In order not to lose face, I decided to sing. I should have chosen Song Sung Blue because everybody sings along. I should not have chosen West End Girls, no matter how many hours I had danced to it. It was disastrous, beyond terrible. Notes, rhythm, nothing matched the music. I thought that a music journalist turned pop singer was a fairly low bar to beat, but I slipped right under it. Still, we were among friends and nobody cared. Nobody, that is, except me. Obviously, I needed to learn to sing so this wouldn't happen again. But of the 4 people that I approached, only one directly addressed my concerns and assured me I wasn't her first mature age student. You're going to spend a lot of time with your coach, so find someone you can trust and work with. And trust them. Even when you want to argue, trust them. You'll work out later that they were right all along, and you should have just trusted them. That first lesson went well, and we decided to try and make me less bad at karaoke. Trust me, that was my stretch goal. I had no delusions that I was ever going to become a singer, whatever that is. More than 6 years later, and I've had exactly one opportunity to do karaoke, and that was a year into my journey. Apparently, I sang in 4 different keys in 4 lines of the same song. Obviously, the lessons were paying off. Still no karaoke, and I'm still April's student. My takeaways from that first lesson were, if you want to make this happen, you're going to have to practice every day, just like the teacher recommends. And if there's an opportunity to take a breath, take the breath. 6 years later, I would add to that, if you're going to take a breath, take a big one. It turns out I could find 30 minutes a day to practice, even if it meant doing it while waiting for roadside service. It turns out that regular small efforts over time lead to big results, eventually. And I mean, eventually. Three months without improvement was discouraging enough for me, but think of my poor husband, who was within earshot of almost every minute of that practice. Truthfully, it was 5 months before the first time I really let my voice out. That first time was in a lesson when suddenly my voice came out completely different than it ever had before. Of course, I was confused and had absolutely no idea what was going on, but April was happy and I took the win. Despite daily practice, once sheltering from the rain under a tree in Munich, there haven't been any other big breakthrough moments. Months will go by without apparent improvement, and then you'll notice that that troublesome note was just a little bit easier, or you got through a phrase in 1 breath instead of 2, or that high note you've been working on no longer sounds like you're actually choking a chicken. At my first live performance, in the middle of my parody to sing the impossible song, my brain says, "Hey, aren't we up in front of people singing? That's terrifying!" And I made the mistake of listening to my brain. Suddenly, I was fanning the first 2 rows of the audience. But once you've done one seemingly impossible thing, it resets your expectations of what is possible. 6 years into the journey, I have an understanding of some of the basics of singing: breathing, singable phrases, rhythm, etc. And next year I'll have an even better understanding. All learning is progressive revelation, because when you start out, you don't know what you don't know. There are enough recordings that I am confident that I am indeed less bad at karaoke. But why not learn one more song? Why not prepare for a performance? Get a couple of songs together for a showcase. There's always going to be one more goal. And currently, my goal is to see how good I can become with good coaching and regular practice. Our lesson time isn't so that we can be coached to be better. Our lesson time is so that we can get the tools so that we can coach ourselves during our practices. That's a distinction I didn't understand for the longest time. I take barely legible notes, but record your lesson or take voice memos, whatever you need to do so that you know what you're going to be working on between now and the next lesson, and how you're going to work on it. One of the most powerful tools we can use to progress as a singer is to record ourselves and listen to it back. But it can be incredibly discouraging if we do that before we can diagnose and correct. But when you can listen, understand, diagnose and correct what you hear, we can make incredible progress really quickly. I'm still taking lessons and practicing because I'm curious how much progress I can make. Every time I practice, I hear opportunities for improvement, and I hear improvements that have been made. Although all those recordings have let me know that I've left my run as a pop star maybe just a little too late in life. It takes a while to learn how to use a new limb, but you're more capable when you work it out. My presentation voice has slowed and become more resonant, both welcome improvements. Plus, there are many physical and mental benefits to singing. When we were rehearsing that number, someone in the room piped up and said, "You're fun." I stopped, turned to my husband and said, "Well, now that's something you never expected would be said about me." And true, until I started learning to sing, I wasn't the funnest person in the world. And if I stop having fun, I'll probably stop learning to sing. But until then, I'll very happily let my voice out. And the final lesson is, you've got to be open to the unexpected, completely changing your life at any moment.